Start your day with Kcal News Mornings, 5 to 11 a.m.
Hey, good morning. We have several incidents out there. This is what it looks like on the 5. We head on out to the Inland Empire. You can see that really heavy backup there.
Next traffic on Kcal News Mornings is about helping you get where you need to go.
Good morning. Today is Friday, January 10th. I'm Rudy Shabazi.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Holmstrom. We're continuing to monitor California's raging wildfires. We're entering day 4 of the destruction, with the death toll now climbing to 10. All right, here's a broad look at the areas burning across Southern California. The most severe ones right now, they continue to be the Palisades and Eaton fire. The newest one, the Kenneth fire, which sparked yesterday afternoon.
The Palisades fire is still the largest at nearly 20,000 acres, but this morning firefighters are making progress, with the fire now 6% contained. More than 5,000 homes and businesses have been destroyed, and officials say that number will go up.
Another 5,000 buildings were torched in the Eaton fire in Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre. More than 13,000 acres burned, and so far, no containment. Making matters worse, looters are becoming such a big issue in the area that the National Guard is being called in.
And again, another fire ignited yesterday. It's called the Kenneth fire, and it's burned close to homes in West Hills near Calabasas.
And hundreds of National Guardmen, they're in Southern California beefing up security in these fire-ravaged areas.
And they're keeping a tight watch on the evacuated areas to keep looters out. Kcal News reporter Rick Montanez is live near Montana and Fair Oaks Avenue in Altadena, where no one is being allowed in. And this is just such horrible news, Rick.
Yeah, Rudy, Chris, this is the result of the sheriff saying that they have made 20 arrests for looting so far in this community. But check out what they have here. These large armored vehicles, and Cal Guard members are here. They have been deployed to come help law enforcement keep an eye on these communities. We are in what is a hard closure right now, where they are not letting anyone in unless you have official business here and you can show your credentials for that. But look down the street. I can tell you today, this is much different than yesterday, because it's so desolate right now. There are very few people in this evacuation zone. You see those lights? That is another roadblock, and there is another Cal Guard group stationed there, keeping an eye on things and having that essentially serve as a checkpoint. Look at this video from overnight, and we drove around through here and we found all of these different Cal Guard groups stationed on different streets, mostly on those main intersections. And then sheriff's deputies, CHP, they are blocking a lot of the smaller streets because they're just trying to keep people out of places that they should not be in. It is astonishing to hear 20 arrests made by the sheriff's department for looting. And, you know, you've got to remember that these fire victims are already going through so much that, you know, it's heartbreaking to hear that this is even something that they have to consider. The LA County Sheriff, Robert Luna, he and County Supervising Chair Catherine Barger, they put out the request for Cal Guard to come here. The governor granted that request and deployed those members. There are 300 Cal Guard members working with law enforcement, another 300 working with firefighters in these vulnerable areas. And we've talked with distraught neighbors who say they're grateful for that help.
My heart still breaks for my city, for my neighbors. I have a lot of friends that lost their home. It's worried with looters that are breaking in.
So you see here one of the Cal Guard members talking to the CHP. They are working with law enforcement all over Southern California. So the Sheriff's Department leading the way in making this request and having the Highway Patrol out here. We even saw El Segundo Police, Hawthorne Police out here as well. So there are agencies from all over the area that have sent officers or deputies here to make sure and help protect these homes. And we also talked about the curfew that they are working on drafting right now. The sheriff says that would be from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. No one allowed in this area. So they're trying to protect these homes. There's a lot of homes destroyed, of course, some homes still standing. But you've got to imagine how awful it would be for these fire victims to then realize that they've become the victim of looters on top of all of the other trauma that they are dealing with right now. So that is what they're trying to prevent at this point. Back to you guys.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're at this point, but thankfully we have the National Guard to help out. Rick, thank you. Well, there's still a lot of damage left to sort through in Altadena, where entire neighborhoods have turned into nothing but rubble and ash.
The community has lost everything from homes to schools to businesses. Kcal News reporter Amanda Sorrentino joins us live from a hard-hit area with more on what's left behind. Amanda.
Hey, good morning, guys. So we've been driving around this entire neighborhood. We've been doing this for the last 3 days now in this Altadena neighborhood, and it's still just so much destruction. There's no light anywhere. But what we have been seeing a lot of is the utility crews working really, really hard overnight to make sure those gas lines are shut off, because that's where we're pretty much the only light we're seeing out here. So that's why I grabbed our big light, because I want to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So we're on the corner of Mariposa Street and El Molina. There's a hardware store on the corner. State Farm is over there as well. I was trying to show you this yesterday, Mariposa Townhomes. And you can just get an idea right here. I'm going to light it up for you so you can see. This is a whole block of townhomes. You can only imagine how many people must have been living here at the time. I'm going to actually let's go this way so you can see. We can walk over there and just look how sad this is. These are tons of people's homes. And this is what it looks like here on this busy corner with some businesses across the way and just home after home. And it just keeps going all the way back. There's nothing left here on this at this intersection. This is a big city block right here, and there's just nothing. So it's just absolutely heartbreaking. We're not seeing as many gas lines still on fire, which is good, but because those utility crews, were we able to see one over here? Oh, yep, we got something over here. So we're gonna walk across the street now. You can still see these cars out here. So it's still so desolate here. No one can come back. I heard Rick talking about how you can only get back here if you're credentialed or have official business, or if you're a first responder, because it's still so dangerous. All right here. You can see, I'm not even quite sure what all of this was. I'm stepping on some glass here. But yeah, we still have some hot spots, and it's just extremely dangerous. And that's why they're not letting anyone back here, because no one really should be getting through here. So no one's even been able to red tag these buildings, see what buildings are still standing, which ones are even safe to access. Once again, you can't even make out what's anything here. And then look at this. You have all these lines and poles all in the way. I'm going to crawl in under here. But you can get an idea of what we're seeing. All right, yeah, there's a hot spot right there. And fire crews are roaming around. I can see one in the back there too, Mike. Yeah, so we're... but yes, utility crews, we've been talking to them this morning. We've been following them around. They're actually having to dig holes to get to these gas lines. I like the way one guy said it. He said, it's just a bunch of spaghetti of metal in the ground that we have to find and turn off each one individually for every single home. So they just finished their shift. They're going to be coming back in about an hour for their next shift. And everyone is working very hard back here to try to get this back to normal. But here in Altadena, it's going to take a very, very, very long time for them to rebuild. I don't even know for sure where you begin, because the amount of destruction here, just giving you an idea, you can barely make out some stuff here. It's just heartbreaking. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Okay, Amanda, thank you. And as she said, it is block after block of that.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Really devastating. Amanda, thank you. And we have learned that at least 2 of the deaths in the Malibu area from the Palisades fire. Yesterday, investigators from the LA County Medical Examiner's Office discovered human remains at a burnt-out home on PCH where someone was reported missing. LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell also reported 1 death in the Pacific Palisades. More than 5,000 structures have been destroyed by the Palisades fire.
Yeah, it's now burned nearly 20,000 acres with little containment this morning. We're also getting a sense of the scale of destruction. So take a look at this home right here. It's a beautiful home in the Pacific Palisades. Well, this was before the fire started. Let's go to Kcal News reporter Luz Delia Caballero. She's live from what's left of the structure after the fire devastated the area. These before and after images, Luz Delia, just so hard to see or even understand.
Yeah, it's so painful to drive up and down these roads and see absolutely nothing. I mean, you can see chimneys up and foundations there, but that home that you just saw, this is all that's left. You see the entryway. So if someone were to come over here and try to find their home, they could probably make it out from this entryway, but everything else is gone. This looks like a gutter here. The metal fencing and the concrete outline is still here, but the home burned to the ground. Across the way, we can see a burned car, and as we move closer, we see more of the same. I mean, this fire, you have to think, it was moving fairly quickly when it broke out Tuesday morning because of those Santa Ana wind sparkle. Watch your step here. And those embers were flying everywhere. So you have to think, an ember goes to a tree, goes to another structure, to the roof, to a house, and then so on and so forth. And this is the result. So another home across the street on fire, and we're talking about a community. And I say this with the utmost sensitivity. It is wiped out. I mean, this area has suffered and endured so much already in terms of everyone who has been affected. And these images just don't do it justice. It is nighttime right now, and once that sun comes up, we are gonna get a more clear idea of all of the devastation in this area. I mean, you see trees standing, but they too caught fire, and this is it. It's rubble. This doesn't even look like this is where a home existed. It kind of looks like a junkyard that people come and then just leave things here, and that is just so painful to say, and it's a reality that is one for so many people, and they're going to have to process this, and it hurts. It's very painful. I mean, we have seen the fires raging on. You've seen them on your screen from our reporting, and the map really showing a good picture of how far that fire has spread within only a matter of days. Only 6% contained, more than 5,000 structures destroyed here in the Palisades fire. So the firefighting effort continues until obviously they reach a good handle on containment, but still lots to go at only 6% contained. Back to you.
It's hard to find words to describe that devastation, especially when you see the before and afters. Liz Delia, thank you.
Yeah, still so much work to do. Well, the fight to contain the major brush fires burning in Southern California continues in the air and on the ground. Summit Manager Mark Liu at the desk with a look at the fight and where it's most intense. Mark, what are we looking at?
Yeah, Chris, so I'll tell you, it seems that Cal Fire in Sacramento may be updating their numbers for the Palisades fire right now. Their official website keeps floating back and forth between 6 and 8% containment, so we may be hearing some good news from Cal Fire on this very soon. Now, Kcal was just overhead of the Palisades fire. They're currently repositioning. This is sort of the dark area. They were looking at the Palisades fire, but I'm going to come to my screen and show you. This is the firm's Fire Information for Resource Management System, and what it is it's a collection of data from satellites in orbit that can sense heat, and I'm going to show you the timeline over the last couple of days of how the heat bloom has come up from the Palisades area. This is when the Palisades fire started on the 7th. You can see that large red blotch that appears there. These are all heat blooms coming up from where the fire had started, and then that absolutely awful day on the 8th when the Palisades fire exploded in size and destroyed large portions of Malibu and Pacific Palisades. And then this is from the 9th. You can see that the fire was starting to get a little bit into a couple of flanks north-south there, and then this is today's. The activity of the fire continues on the northern flank, but it is really just 3 sections here, here, and here. The most intense is on the northern flank on this side where water dropping helicopters continue to fight it. Now the same data is over here on the Eaton fire, where I can show you data on that day. On the 8th, you can see how it exploded in size and destroyed huge portions of Altadena that day. And then as the firefight continued, it separated into several flanks. It continued to burn in central Alameda and then burned towards Mount Wilson. And then this is the latest heat signature information from today. There's a small flank on the west, but it continues to burn to the north into the hills, and boy, does it have a lot to burn up there. This is going to be an intense firefight as it can move all the way north through the Angeles National Forest. But there are water-dropping helicopters in the area at both fires, and they are doing their work today. You can even see some of the heat data from the Kenneth fire that's over there that just recently had a flare-up this morning, but water-dropping helicopters from Ventura County Fire are taking care of that. We're going to keep monitoring this. When the sun comes up, we should have a better look with Kcal at how these fires are doing. I'll see that as soon as we get it. As soon as that happens, I'll show it to you. That's it here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Mark, thank you. The time right now, 6:13. Our coverage on the wildfires raging across Southern California continues. Here's a live look from our Mount Wilson camera. Usually we show you a beautiful sunrise there in just a little while when the sun comes up. Right now, it is glowing red with flames.
Yeah, the day is a little different right now. But plus, thousands of residents are still without power this morning, and it could take a while before it'll be back. We'll hear from families about what they're left to deal with in the dark.
And here's a live look at the Rose Bowl, where you can see a lot of aid coming in to help people impacted by the fires. We'll have a live report on the relief efforts. That's ahead at 6:30.
Traffic on Kcal News is sponsored by Jacoby and Myers, because you deserve justice.
After a car accident, beware of insurance companies bearing small checks. You may feel pressured to settle too soon and for too little money. Choose Jacoby and Myers. We've turned low insurance offers into big settlements. Jacoby and Myers, because everyone deserves justice.
Power outages remain widespread during these brutal fires and windstorms.
And thousands of LADWP customers still don't know when they'll get the power back. Some families are going to hotels, while some are choosing to stay home and run on small generators. Families have been without power since the winds first picked up. As of last night, at least 87,000 people have had no power. One of the most impacted areas is North Hollywood. Still 10,000 people in the dark there.
We have never had our power out for more than an hour or two at a time. Like, I know a lot of places got their power turned off, and that was places that were closer to the fires. We don't know why our power is out. We haven't been given any explanation.
And the estimated time for restoration is at least another day. While families are frustrated, some say they're keeping things in perspective. They know what they're going through does not compare to people who have lost their homes.
All right, let's get a check on our weather now with Alex. Good morning. And, you know, the winds have really been a cause for concern. People want to know when they're going to let up, Alex.
Absolutely. A lot of people tuning into this forecast this morning, Rudibe and Chris, and wondering what is going to be happening with the wind, because I know the wind has been kind of the driving factor between all of this extreme fire behavior. And of course, we're going to talk about that. Starting off here, it's dark, but you can see this live look. This is from our Mount Wilson sky camera. You can still see the flames from the Eaton fire burning out there in the distance. So we are, of course, watching all of the fires burning across Southern California. Here's the good news. Winds a little bit blustery this morning, decreasing as we head through about midday into this afternoon. We still have the high wind warning. We still have some wind advisories in effect, but those will expire soon. I have high fire danger in the forecast today. We're staying dry. I mean, relative humidity down into the teens and single digits in many areas. I wish I was talking about rain. I don't have it. In fact, we've got more offshore winds as we head sometimes into this weekend, and some areas as we head into this weekend and into early next week too. Let's go to the Kenneth fire. It is burning near Hidden Hills, Calabasas. Winds gusting this morning to about 25 miles per hour. We are looking at winds closer to the Palisades fire. Light this morning, that is good, but some spots up in the Malibu Hills, we're seeing winds gust about 20 miles per hour. San Gabriel Valley, winds are calmer there. So again, that is the good news. We are nowhere near what we saw a few days ago wind-wise. This is the future cast, and as we kind of go through the next few hours, you're going to see those winds continue to light up as we head into about 1:30. Winds about 15 to 20 miles per hour in Santa Clarita, along the LA coastline as we head into early this evening. And then we'll see another burst of wind as we head into Saturday, with the possibility of moderate to stronger Santa Ana winds as we head into the start of next week. Let's just take a breath here and, get past what we are, dealing with this morning and today, which is still elevated fire weather in areas like Santa Clarita, Calabasas, Thousand Oaks, Agora Hills, into some parts of the San Gabriel Valley. Now, the good news is, again, we're out of that critical and extreme threshold, which is what we saw over the last few days. Again, some areas still in that critical threshold, some parts of the Inland Empire, but again, we're not in that extreme category, which we saw earlier in the week. Air quality alert across much of Southern California. If you've taken a step outside the last few days, you've smelled the smoke, maybe you've seen the smoke. We have that in place until 5 p.m. today. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets extended to another day. So hazy, smoky in some areas today. Temperatures low 70s. We've got 60s headed your way this weekend. That's your next for the forecast. Let's get you outside, talk about traffic this morning. We do have an issue on the 91 freeway, westbound side, a SIG alert because of a brush fire. Westbound 91 to the northbound 5, that transition is blocked. You can see some slowing because of that. There is also a crash here westbound side of the 91 just before Gypsum Canyon. That is on the right shoulder. You can see some slowing and backup because of that crash. Overview of the Inland Empire looking pretty good this morning. We're seeing lots of green across downtown Los Angeles, across, into the valley, and as we head across the 101 freeway too, making your way into areas like Ventura County. Lots of fire closures to tell you about. We'll just tell you about this one. Eaton fire closures, Angeles Crest Highway, Angeles Forest Highway. Lots of streets too. That includes Altadena Drive, Fair Oaks Avenue, Santa Anita Avenue, Lake Avenue, Marengo, and Allen all closed this morning. Back to you.
Okay, Alex, thank you so much. Time right now, 6:21. Water woes in the fire zones, and it's impacting your drinking water as well. Find out why officials want you to hold off on drinking from the tap.
Plus, all the smoke is causing an issue with air quality. We'll explain how you can protect yourself.
Amy Johnson, weekdays, Kcal News Mornings.
There are safety concerns about drinking water in areas affected by the fires. Pasadena Water and Power is now calling the tap water in the evacuation zone unsafe.
The pipes melt. They become open sources. Gases from the fire burning can be pulled into the pipes. And those gases contain lots of toxic chemicals of which none of us want to breathe. They can also contaminate the insides of those pipes.
Darren Polhemus with the State Water Board says boiling the water will not get rid of any of the heavy metals in the water, so residents must drink bottled water for now. Pasadena Water and Power will have to flush their systems multiple times, and even after that, it may take days or weeks before the tap water is once again safe for consumption. And the smoke is traveling across Southern California, and air quality is a big concern right now.
Yeah, it's really bad. We also want to let people know to stay indoors if possible. But here's other things you can do to stay safe. Check your air filters. Dirty ones, they make it really, really bad. Also, high efficiency ones, they make things better. And do not burn candles or use incense indoors. You can use a flashlight or headlamp instead. And finally, keep your pets inside because the smoke, it's toxic for them as well.
The NFL has moved Monday night's playoff game between the LA Rams and the Minnesota Vikings to Arizona. Rams season ticket holders will be able to purchase tickets for the relocated game starting at 10 this morning. Tickets for the general public will go on sale at noon. The time right now, 6:25. We are on fire watch.
And I'm Simon Manager Mark Liu here at the desk. There are still more than 150,000 people without power in Southern California. I've been in touch with all the major power companies. I'll have details on when the lights might be coming back on. Coming up.
I'm Barry Pintar at the Rose Bowl at the Emergency Response Center that has a twofold purpose. One, to coordinate all the response for the Eaton fire. The other one, to feed these men and women who have been working relentlessly with hours. And the warning against travel in this area coming up straight ahead.
Kcal News is sponsored by the Barnes Firm. Car crash? Call now at 1-800-8-MILLION.
After my car accident, I wondered what my case was worth. So I call the Barnes Firm.
I'm Rich Barnes. Is your accident case worth more than insurance offered? Call the Barnes Firm now to find out. You might be surprised.
This is Kcal News Mornings.
Good morning. Today is Friday, January 10th. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
I'm Ruta Shabazi. We are continuing to monitor California's raging wildfires. We are entering now day 4 of the destruction, and the death toll has climbed to 10. Here is a broad look at the areas burning across Southern California right now. The most severe ones continue to be the Palisades and the Eaton fires, and the newest one, the Kenneth fire, which was sparked yesterday afternoon.
The Palisades fire is still the largest at more than 20,000 acres. But this morning, firefighters, they're making progress with the fire now 6% contained, more than 5,000 homes and businesses destroyed, and officials say that number will likely go up.
Another 5,000 buildings were torched in the Eaton fire in Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre. More than 13,000 acres burned, and so far there is no containment on this one. And making matters worse, looters are becoming such a big issue in the area that the National Guard is being called in.
And again, another fire ignited yesterday. It's called the Kenneth Fire. It burned close to homes in West Hills near Calabasas. And the scale of the damage left behind by the Palisades fire is stunning to see, and the area remains dangerous.
Kcal News reporter Kevin Kcal has a look at why people still aren't being allowed back to their neighborhoods.
Good morning. I'm coming to you now on the corner of Albright Street and Chautauqua. We are here in the Huntington Palisades neighborhood. And the reason we wanted to show you this specific street and this specific corner is it really highlights the reasons why this area is still closed off to the public, including residents. Take a look. This is just one of several places where we have seen things like this. Power pole on top of a car. Obviously, this is going to take a lot of work, some heavy machinery to actually clear this and move this out. But it's not just one power pole on one car we're talking about here when we talk about the recovery efforts. You keep on moving. I'm not sure if you hear that. Just take a listen real quick. Might be hard to hear, but that is flowing water. That is because we have noticed in this home, once again, if you just want to be careful, because, like, Brian, be careful. There we go. I say that because there are power lines all on the ground. You have to be very careful walking around these things. Another reason why you just can't open this up right now. The recovery efforts are going to be massive. You see this water that is flooding out. It appears to be coming out of a pipe here in this home, but it is flooding this home as we speak, a home that is already burnt down and destroyed. One more thing I want to show you. Come over this way. We have to be very careful when you drive around this area. It's dark, right? It's very hard to see. Even when we're driving around, we got lights. We even shine lights outside of the car because you don't know what you're going to run into when you turn a corner. Power line hanging across low, followed by a fallen tree, and then you look ahead, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 power lines just right in front of you hanging. And Brian, if we could just pan over there, another destroyed home. If you had just a few of these instances, that still would take a major effort to get this all cleaned up. But this is extremely common in neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood all across the Palisades. So we're going to keep heading down, obviously trying to find a safer route. But for now, reporting from Pacific Palisades, Kevin Ko, Kcal News.
Kevin, thank you. The iconic Rose Bowl has been turned into a makeshift home for people evacuated by the fires.
Yeah, the stadium is also being used as a command center for the emergency response effort. Let's go to reporter Barry Pintar. He's there live with what we're seeing. And Barry, this is a pretty massive volunteer effort. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so we often use terms in this business like active situation under a negative umbrella type of connotation. There's actually a lot of positive to tell you about. As you mentioned, I'm here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. You can see over here the sun is just beginning to come up. But first responders obviously have been busy with this Eaton fire. What you're seeing behind me here are lines, hundreds of first responders walking up into this area to grab something to eat, to sit down and relax after relentlessly fighting this fire. Over here they can get a banana and a yogurt. You can see a Cal Fire mobile kitchen. Here they can get some scrambled eggs, something to eat there, but here you see them all lined up. So why is this so important to these guys, men and women in this effort? Well, there are really two reasons. Over by the Rose Bowl itself is the command center where they can group to get together and talk about the efforts that they are using to fight this fire. As you probably have been reporting, yesterday morning we had 11,000 acres burned. They thought there was a slowing going on, even though 0% contained. Unfortunately, overnight, winds picked up. All of a sudden, from Thursday morning to Thursday afternoon, we're at 14,000 acres. So what that means is these men and women who perhaps may have had a break, both in coordinating their efforts and stopping somewhere to get something to eat, have that no more. So they can come to the Rose Bowl, coordinate those efforts, grab a bite to eat, relax a little bit, and unfortunately, head right back out to this fire that, of course, is very active, with evacuation still in place and all that goes with trying to make these people safe. So for right now, relaxation, eating, over to the command center to group together, to coordinate efforts, and then back out into the field. We will be here live all morning as they continue on these efforts to get a hold of this Eaton fire. Reporting in Pasadena, Barry Pintar, Kcal News. Back to you guys.
Barry, thank you, and we appreciate you traveling all the way from Pittsburgh to help us cover this fire as we need all resources we can get from CBS. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
And Kcal Cares, we are partnering with the Red Cross to assist fire victims in need. If you're able to help, please just go to redcross.org/Kcal.
And for more information on how to donate, to volunteer, or if you need to find a shelter for yourself or for a loved one, you can just call 1-800-THE-RED Cross or text Red Cross to 90999. Well, local officials, they're facing some tough questions about the response to the various fires and whether there was enough resources to handle it. Take a look.
Firefighters are telling me that that was not staffed as much as it could have been because of overtime concerns.
Not for this particular fire in regard to, when we need overtime on a disaster like this, that is a zero issue.
LA Mayor Karen Bass dismissed calls for her resignation, saying the first priority is to get the fires out and then to investigate the response. At least 20 people have been arrested for looting at homes and businesses ravaged by the flames.
Yeah, so now officials are looking into implementing a curfew to cut down on these crimes. So that curfew, it would run from 6 p.m. at night to 6 a.m. in the morning. It's in the areas of the Eaton and Palisades fires. Also, it could go into effect as early as tonight. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says they're also ramping up security in areas that have been evacuated. 400 department personnel have been deployed in the zones, patrolling for looters. They're also sending the National Guard to help crack down on the predatory crimes.
Will help send a stronger message, keep people out of the impacted areas so we don't continuously victimize the people who have already been victimized.
And LA County DA Nathan Hochman also issued a warning saying that looters will, quote, be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
There are still more than 150,000 customers without power across Southern California. Assignment manager Mark Liu is at the desk with details on when the lights might come back on. Mark.
Well, I'll tell you, if your power is out because it was purposely turned off by Southern California Edison to prevent more wildfires, there is some good news on the horizon as the winds are dying down. But if your power is off because of damaged equipment due to any of these wildfires or the winds, you may still have to wait for quite some time. Now, let me take you out to my screen and show you what LADWP is currently working with. The last update from them was last night. They're dealing with 87,000 people in the city of LA still don't have power, although that has probably dropped since the last update. Looking at this screen here is a lot of data. All of these orange dots are active power outages in the LADWP City of LA's area. The orange ones that are large, that's between 500 and 2,500 customers. This is a little bit better than it was yesterday. A lot of these orange dots have become very small, which means that the power outage now only affects between 1 to 200 customers. The blue ones are power outages that have crews assigned to them. They're on the way. The purple ones are where crews are actively working. LADWP says they have more than 150 crews out in the field, a lot of them in the San Fernando Valley, where most of these power outages are happening. The big ones you can see here are in North Hollywood, which we've been talking about, at 1,500 people. Pacific Palisades, of course, it's understandable that a lot of the equipment there was destroyed, about 2,600 people. Valley Glen, 1,200. But LADWP is not the only power company that's dealing with issues. I want to bring you out here to Glendale. They've been doing some great work. They're down to only about 736 customers that are affected. The big one is basically in La Crescenta, but also down the 2 freeway corridor. Pasadena, of course, dealing with the effects of the fire in their area, the Altadena fire. They've been able to get their power outages down to 803. So they're doing pretty good work as well. But really, the big one, of course, is Southern California Edison. They serve 5 million customers, and as of right now, still 171,000 of them are out due on purpose due to these public safety power shutoffs. These are, of course, these black shaded areas. We've been looking at it over the last 3 days. There are some people that are still without power for now for 3 days, and we just got an alert from them. Some people are getting this text message that says winds have died down. We are starting to inspect our lines for damage. This could typically take up to 8 hours. So coming back out here live to me, you may have be in an area where the winds have died down, which means the power can come back on, but they need crews to check to see if any of those unpowered lines came down. They just can't re-energize them. So they've got to have someone out there visually inspecting those lines, and then they can turn the power back on. That's it here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much. Let's go to Alex now with a look at our weather. Alex, the big question, How strong will the winds be today?
Oh, that is, yes, absolutely the big question, Rutabaga. And Chris, good morning to you at 6:40. And you know what? The winds have picked up overnight. Here's the good news. Winds not as strong as what we saw a few days ago. We still have those offshore gusty Santa Ana winds still impacting some parts of Camarillo up toward Ojai, Simi Valley, and Santa Clarita, looking at gusts as strong as about 39 to 40 miles per hour. Chino also picking up those gusts about 25 miles per hour. So the takeaway is today we are still looking at elevated fire weather conditions. We still have that red flag warning in effect, but we are out of that extreme category that we saw a few days ago. So it is still bone dry. And of course, we have some spots of wind too. Your extended forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Let's get you out on the roads this morning. Talk a little bit about traffic and what is impacting you. We do have this we've been watching, a SIG alert. There is a brush fire westbound side of the 91. This is just at the 5, so that transition lane is blocked, and that is causing a little bit of a backup this morning. So you will be pumping the brakes there. Otherwise, across Los Angeles, seeing so much green on this Friday morning. There is a crash southbound side of the 170. This is to the southbound 101, left lane blocked there. Just a little bit of a backup because of that crash. Of course, we have been monitoring all of the closures near the Palisades fire and, of course, the Kenneth fire, all the fires burning across Southern California. So lots of closures there, and we'll continue to keep you updated through the morning. Back to you.
Okay, Alex, thank you so much. Time right now, 6:41. Still to come, did you get a text alert to evacuate even though you're far away from the fires? Well, we did, and you're not alone. A lot of people did. We're going to explain why you received it.
And it was some of the most dramatic video in those initial stages of the wildfires. So what happened to these cars, and what about their owners? Our crew went out and got some answers.
Our community has been hit hard by fires, and our neighbors need our help. Kcal cares, and we've teamed up with the Red Cross to aid in getting that help. For the latest information on resources and shelters and how you can donate or volunteer, just go to kcalnews.com/fire.
And taking a live look right now as the sun begins to rise and we continue to battle several wildfires here in our region. Welcome everyone to Kcal News Mornings at 6 and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. The time right now, 6:45. And looking at this Rutabaga, it almost reminds us of what it was like last week when you just enjoyed and appreciated the sunrise.
Yeah, but you see that sea of smoke there.
So bad.
Really bad air quality.
Yeah, something to keep in mind if you go outside. Well, in the midst of the firestorm on Tuesday, we brought you the scene live from the Pacific Palisades. Drivers told police to abandon their cars and also to head for the ocean. Here's what some of those people had to say. Well, we then saw fire crews coming through with a bulldozer, shoving the cars out of the way to create a path for the fire trucks. And yesterday, we went back there and found the cars still sitting on Sunset Boulevard, all pushed to the side of the road. Some intact, some with dents, and some burned and destroyed.
Kcal News tracked down some of those drivers who had to leave their cars to get to safety. Sandy and Elliot Ivanhoe followed orders and left their car and all their belongings they grabbed before leaving home. They thought they had lost everything, but thankfully that wasn't the case.
I get a call from your station, from a reporter who says to me, I have bad news. Your car has been bulldozed. I said, I don't care. Is it on fire? Is the car okay? And he says, oh yeah, the car's okay. I said, I only care about what's in the car.
The couple was able to retrieve all their belongings, and they weren't the only ones. Shelley Wagner also had to ditch her car after rushing to save her 99-year-old mother from the fire zone. Wow. She saw her car then on Kcal News and now is back in the driver's seat.
Little angels are around, you know, and in the deepest, darkest tragedy of which there are many to be told in this.
She credits the return of her car to a note she left on her dashboard detailing who to call if it survived the fire. And we've seen that so many times. It's not the car, it's all of the valuable and replaceable things that people have put inside.
And I'm glad to hear that they're also understanding of why this happened and what had to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
It's just was such chaos.
Yeah.
All right, millions of us across LA County, speaking of chaos, got an emergency evacuation alert sent to our phones, but then it was sent out by mistake.
I got the alert and I kept thinking, not again. I mean, it was frightening. So the director of the Office of Emergency Management explains what happened. Take a listen.
When Unified Command determines a location is going to be issued as an evacuation order or an evacuation warning, the incident commanders designate that. That then gets communicated to the Los Angeles County's Office of Emergency Management and the Emergency Operations Center, who actually do the function of, through a technological system, a software system, issuing that. There was an error within that system that went beyond the zone that was designated. So the correct zone was designated as authorized by the incident commanders on what was supposed to be a zone for the Kenneth fire.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's I've been hearing from people who got another
emergency
alert
yeah.
this morning, and actually when I was on my way to work, people were actually evacuating, and it turned out to be a false alarm again. So it causes a lot of panic, and we don't want people to get complacent and not abide by those alerts.
Very
that's
true.
The real thing.
And you
so.
said yesterday, the one that we got, you kind of freaked out because you had your mom in town,
yes.
and you're like, you got to figure out what to do. But thankfully, it was only not true. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to go to Alex now for our next weather, and the winds really playing a huge role in all of this, Alex.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? We have been watching the wind here in the next weather department. I'm still watching it this morning. We did forecast that winds would get a little bit stronger in the overnight hours. That is what has happened. So near Calabasas, West Hills, where the Kenneth fire is burning, we have winds coming out of the north about 10 miles per hour, gusting up to about 19. So yes, winds picking up just a bit, but we are nowhere near what we saw a few days ago. Pacific Palisades, we've got smoky sky, temperatures in the low 50s, winds out of the north about 7 miles per hour. So again, winds much calmer. Let's go to Altadena this morning. Just want to get you updated on all of these locations. Winds about 5 miles per hour. So winds significantly calmer. And we are so dry. I wish I was telling you about rain coming our way. We don't have that. We're well below average as far as rainfall is concerned. Downtown Los Angeles, we've only seen just over a 1/10 of an inch of rain. Normally, we should be closer to 5 inches of rain. That's average. So we are dry, and we still have that red flag warning with us today. That expires at 6 p.m. So wind-wise, as we head into later this morning and early this afternoon, those winds will continue to diminish and calm. We've got winds still about 15 to 20 miles per hour in areas like Thousand Oaks and Oxnard. Otherwise, by this evening, we are much calmer with some breezes around 15 miles per hour. Now, this weekend, we will see those winds tick up just a bit as we head into Sunday, and then it is possible that we see a moderate to strong wind event as we head into the start of next week. So we're looking possibly Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. We'll watch that. High wind warning that expires at 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is for the Santa Monica Mountains through the Santa Clarita Valley. Gusts as strong as 60 miles per hour. And we got rid of that high wind warning for the Inland Empire this morning. We also have a lesser wind advisory. That's with us until 2 p.m. across some of our valley locations. So we've got, again, those winds out of the northeast anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per hour. Air quality. Big story today as we have lots of smoke from these fires that is producing unhealthy to hazardous air quality across some parts of Los Angeles. So stay inside, wear a mask if you have one, or go get one because of the smoke that is filtering through the air. LA Orange County temperatures low 70s today. I've got temperatures in the high 60s, mid to high 60s this weekend. We will have another round of winds develop as we head Monday and into Tuesday. Across the valleys, I've got low 70s today and tomorrow with high 60s as we head into next week. Back to you.